Alright, hello and welcome to week 3 here with Invictus Racing League once again. Please let me know if it is too loud, if I'm too loud, or if the game is too loud. I can, no problem with changing that. I'm going to be your host today. My name is Xerox once again, and unfortunately, JP and I will not be commentating with us today because he has some family matters to tend to. I'm going to go ahead and turn down game audio a little bit. And I wish I had the screen chat open on my OBS, that way I didn't have to have the browser open. But we'll have to deal with that. And if you guys do hear my kid in the background, I do apologize. They're getting ready to go run some errands. And then, as always, let me know if there's any latency or anything like that. I'm just going through some information here. Give me one moment. Trying to make sure that our stream link is accurate. And it is actually accurate, so I do apologize about that, Joe. I take that back. All right, we're gonna get hoping to see everyone in the lobby. I don't see my invite coming in yet. We'll just have to give it a second. And while we wait, we're gonna go ahead and go over our standings so far this series. Driver standings and constructor standings. We have Joe and Kent tied for first. McLaren and Mercedes are also tied for the constructor standings here, as we are coming into Spain. So very strong performance from Mercedes last week there in Abu Dhabi, as McLaren had their debut start of the season in the first race in Monza. I gotta tab back into my game so I can get that invite. And yeah, so unfortunately, we just had a last second notice that the Haas driver of, if I can find his name on here, Rambo was moved to Tier 2 because he was expected to perform very well. I'm going to mute everyone. Trems, I could hear you like none other. I went into my settings and turned on game chat. So, yeah. But yeah, that's our current standings if you guys are viewing it. And then I don't believe we have any Haas drivers today. Let me check Discord and see what we have for the lineup today. We have our Red Bull team filled up with Atsu and Joseph, Keza in the Ferrari, Scotty and Kent for Mercedes, Sam W in the Alpine, Joseph Hearn and Louis for McLaren, Bon Toby and Cuff for Alfa Romeo, Peril and Jamie for Aston Martin. Rambo is no longer in Tier 3 as of right now, so there is no Haas drivers. And then Trems and Office Red and AlphaTauri. That's what I'm reading off of the list. And then Vertex Gaming in the Williams, but we'll have to see who shows up. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And I did a little bit of research. I did a little bit of homework. I have a PNG of the Spanish GP with their turn numbers and some of the turn names. Turn 13, I'm going to try to avoid because I don't want to butcher it. And yeah, so new track layout here in the Spanish GP, and new format because this week is our first week of sprint races. That changes the qualifying format to a one-shot qualifying. And yeah, so a sprint race for 11 laps, and then a main event for 33 laps. And we're looking forward to it. I need to swap over to spectator. My apologies. You can probably hear my kid in the background as he's playing with a box. I do apologize for that if that is a little loud. And, we're waiting. So as we're waiting for the lobby, I do want to remind you guys of our partners today, as you can see on the screen. First off is Grid Finder. If you guys are watching our series from Grid Finder, we thank you guys for coming over to our league and checking us out. And if you didn't already know, you use gridfinder.com, go online and find a league that is compatible to you. You can go in there and fine-tune what you want to look for in a league. That way it best fits you. But if you're not looking forward if you're not looking for online racing, you can always go for the single-player career modes or two-player career modes. I don't know how well two-player career modes work with this, but our next partner is Venturi Studios, your one-stop shop for anything liveries, my team packages, helmets, and track updates. You can reach out to someone in there, and they will most likely be able to get back to you within a reasonable time and work with you as best as they can to get what you're looking for your single player playthroughs on F1 23 and so on. I believe all the way back to F1 2018, if not more. But yeah, we're just waiting for more people to show up. That way we can get more of a lineup here, as we only have Scotty and Mercedes. We're gonna go ahead and swap over to our lineup, our drivers. Okay, I need to there we go. It wasn't loading there for a second. Got Atsu in the Solo Red Bull, Office Red, and Trems in the Alpha Tauris, Scotty in the Mercedes, Sam in the Alpine, Alper in the Aston Martin. I gotta look at your name again because Peril, Uger Alper Peril. That's my guy Peril. Okay, I had to remember there for a second there. But yeah, Keza in the Ferrari has returned. Let's see if he can. I don't recall him being in. Yes, he was. Last race, I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keza. It's been a long week. And then Louis and the McLaren looking to make a comeback. So it might be a one-stop shop performance between Louis and Scotty to hold that lead and break that tiebreaker. So we'll have to wait and see. And then the Bontovi and Cut in the Alfa Romeos. Let's I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at their current standings. I don't quite remember. I'm gonna leave the screen on this one as we are waiting. Let me look here. See, Cut is in 6th in the Drivers' Championship. And then Alfa Romeo is 5th with 11 points. That's up 2 positions. Kent has made it in with the Mercedes, so we'll have a full Mercedes team. And seems like Louis will not have. I don't know where Joe is. I could have sworn I saw him. He was on the lineup for racing today, so I don't know. But we will have to wait. gonna take this moment and send this link about to some friends, see if they want to watch. I think we are waiting for a few more people. I don't entirely know. Yeah, we're trying to get Jamie back here, and Joseph, we're going to go ahead and swap back to the thumbnail while we get those other people in. And I don't know who this was from, but I believe it was from Scotty himself. He did the shot. That's turn 1 and turn 2 consecutively here in Barcelona. And I sent him a couple shots of the Aston Martin in the final turn, in turn 14. They were pretty good shots, but I agree. This one is a little bit better. All right, Vertex Gaming in with the Williams. Joseph Grima, the other Red Bull, is finally in. And we have Jamie 29 in the other McLaren. So we will have a full-on McLaren versus Mercedes battle. And Alfa Romeo still looking to get some decent points. And then if I can go back through here and look. AlphaTauri sitting in 3rd place for constructors for Tier 3. So McLaren and Mercedes are tied for 1st. AlphaTauri is sitting in 3rd at 19 points. Haas is sitting at 16 points in P4. Alfa Romeo P5 for the constructor standing. Looks like we have most of everyone in here. I'm waiting for the loading screen so I can transition back over. And I'm just going to do it now. This is going to be a little different here. I was told to follow one person for one shot, and I believe that's how it works. Is you're only able to look at one person because they're all driving on the track by themselves for one-shot qualifying. Let me pull the chat back up. I haven't had that up for a second. Once again, if my audio is too loud or the game audio is too loud, let me know. I will make an adjustment. And kind of looking forward to today's race because I just finished doing this track for my series, and I felt pretty comfortable. If it's 33 laps, I believe they're doing the same settings as the 35% race. I ran pretty good. It's just after my pit stop, I was in the middle of the field, so we'll have to see what kind of strategies are coming from everybody else here on our lobby list. And probably finalizing our choices here. Lobby has been open for about 15 minutes now since I started the stream. It's usually when I like to start. As we are loading up here. All right. Yeah, Scotty, let's not have any pit lane dives compared to week 1. Mercedes looking to fight back for points after last week. And then Scotty, especially for points after a week 1 incident into the wall on the main straight. But one-shot qualifying in Barcelona, Catalonia. If I butchered that, I am sorry. And if I'm not talking for a period of time, I'm probably yawning or taking a drink of water or my Rockstar. I had a long night of work, and I have been up for 22 hours. So as soon as this race is over, ending the stream and I'm going to sleep. So it's a noon for me. It's 9 p.m. for those guys over there. As we are loading in here, we're waiting for everyone to load in. Hopefully we have everyone load in properly. We had some minor issues on week 1 in Monza with some loading. We had to do qualifying and then try to load into the main race twice. So I really wish it would let me go through my menu while this countdown goes, but we'll have to deal with it. Pretty excited what today brings and this week brings with the sprint race format and one-shot qualifying. So people will be pushing their limits, especially on the track limits here. It's Vertex Gaming, and all right. Looking pretty good here. Off the start, Jamie 29 retired from the session. You might have a connection issue. I don't entirely know for sure. If I butchered what team he was on earlier, I do apologize. The driver's looking pretty good here. Coming out of Sector 1 into Sector 2 in a long straight. And then the uphill left-hander, the braking zone. If you miss that braking zone, you're going to be outside, losing a lot of time here. And then F121, I was losing a lot of traction on that uphill section. And then the new improved Sector 3 without the hairpin. Most of our drivers are wrapping up their times. And there's our provisional times. Trems P1, Vertex Gaming P2, Bon Toby P3, Atsu in a Red Bull P4, Louis and Joe, both McLarens P5 and P6. They will be starting on the 3rd row for the sprint race. Ka, our American driver, P7. As we're on board with Bon Toby, trying to transition back and forth. Wasn't sure who I was going to watch, because that's the first time I've ever spectated a sprint race one-shot qualifying. But once again, there is our provisional lineup. Trems, Vertex, Bontovi, Atsu round out the top 4 first 2 rows. McLaren locking out the 3rd row. Kun, Office Red, row number 4. Keza, Sam, Grima, Scotty, and Kent. Scotty and Kent, the Mercedes, are way back there in the 7th row. So we got a lot to look forward to. See if we have any exceeded track limits from Jamie 29. Invalidated lap time. We probably slammed into the wall. We weren't spectating him, so I don't know necessarily. But we're going on to the sprint race. And it's gonna be a wet sprint race, that is. I did not check the weather at the beginning. I do apologize. So a lot can change in a short amount of time, especially on this track. Waiting for people to use their strategies and see what we can do. And at a first glance, it seems like an intermediate, but their strategies may say otherwise. We'll have to wait and see. when we get to the grid. I believe people are adjusting their setups according to the weather. With what they can. You can't really adjust your setups that much. Unless I don't remember if the regulations lock the setups that we're allowed to use. But hopefully we won't see much slipping and sliding for this race. And I do believe we had qualifying for Monza in one of the other tiers, and they were doing pretty good. Taking a little bit longer than I expected. I don't know how much time they get allotted for their race strategies and setups. Got some chatter going on in the driver's room. And 5 red lights. And here we go. Strange single Williams in the front row. Vertix on board with him. A little bit of wheel spin there on the intermediates as he cycles in behind Trems around turn 1. They got to be very careful. See if there's 4 wide in the backfield. Side by side of the AlphaTauri. I saw someone go off the field. Who was it? It was Kezan, the Ferrari. I didn't see who was contact with him. Who had contact with him? I'm not sure. Go through this menu and see. And positions. I want positions. There we go. Louis drops 4 positions. Bontobi drops 5 positions. And we'll go full track map here. And we will do interval between caution and sector 2 from the backfield of Venturi Sam in the Williams. He's without a front wing. I completely missed what happened. I was trying to get my menu going here. As Kez is also in the backfield. They may have some issues with their setups. And Sam's going to have some trouble getting back into the pits after this first lap. Trying to stay in track limits. As we're going to go ahead and return to the front. As Trems leads about 1.2 seconds now off the straight. And it's a virtual safety car. I'm tired. I can tell you that right now. I am tired. So, virtual safety car, these drivers have to follow a certain pace that is given to them on their screen. They cannot necessarily bunch up behind each other, but they will definitely try to make a move. As we see Venturi Sam on the bottom in the pits on the mini-map. The main race is dry, Smoke. The main race is dry. And the virtual safety car is over with. Trems sitting about 1.9 seconds ahead now, 2.1 and gaining against the Red Bull of Atsu. And everyone's single file here in the rain. The Aston Martin, Jamie trying to make a move on the inside. No luck there. I'm going to go on board here as we're moving into sector. We're going through sector 2. Jamie thought about making a move on the inside, but no room. as the Red Bull goes wide, a little bit late on his braking zone, and a little bit of wheel spin on Jamie. I don't know if he cut him off or not. I didn't see that. But a lot of wheel spin coming from these guys, especially in the rain. And once again, Jamie and the Aston Martin making a move on the inside. And there's contact in the red. Contact between Jamie, 29, and Kent. Jamie had the inside line. I'm just not sure if he was in front of the Mercedes. And that is our first major incident with a full safety car. So there's the incident with Sam and Keza earlier that will probably be looked at by our stewards. And then you saw we were on board with Kent, or on board with Jamie as he was inside the Mercedes. We just weren't sure if he was in front of him with the angle that we were following. So I don't know if that Mercedes was trying to go into the pits from the outside lane. But we'll have to wait and see till later this week after we get a final result from our Invictus Racing League stewards. And I don't know if we'll see many people going into the pits. Maybe some people with damage. We're going to go ahead and clear the HUD versus some shots. So 3 laps in, and Mercedes, one of the Mercedes is already out, so that really hurts their chance of defending their points or breaking that tiebreaker against McLaren. As we see all the drivers still going through, and I believe Kuh, the American driver Kuh, is in the pits. I don't know if he had damage. If I can remember my controls here. And it is just a tire change to another set of intermediates. And then Sam's still trying to catch up, but he is stuck behind that Delta pace, and he can't take it until everybody else is caught up with the safety car. As we see Joe back up in P3, he had a decent performance last week, and then amazing teamwork from McLaren's week 1. So they're in a pretty good position right now for points, right? For defending and getting an early lead for this season. We have catching up to the rest of the group, and then Venturi Sam not too far back behind. I'm going to go ahead and look at a replay of the incident between Jamie and Kent. On board with Jamie as Kent is a little bit of contact pushing Kent off the track. Kent trying to come back in from track limits and basically being ahead of him and getting hit in the back tire. So yes, contact between Kent and Jamie. Jamie was in the lane, and that's it. I'm guessing that's going to be a unsafe rejoin on the track, especially with a contact. There's going to be another lap for the safety car, so the safety car will be coming in next lap. Trems in the AlphaTauri sitting in P1 here. A pretty good run off of qualifying from him. I'm going to go ahead and take a look again at the standings. Give me 1 second, I had to tab out. Alright. See if Trems can have a comfortable pace out into turn 1 after the safety guard comes in. I'm going to go through my Discord on my phone right now. A little bit of a gap forming here. Don't any penalties from Peril. Once again, this is only the sprint race. We still have a main event to go with 33 laps in the dry weather. Peril sitting in P6 in the Aston Martin. His teammate Jamie knocked out as he has to try to fight for points by himself. And send the stream link to a couple of friends that are into racing. So they were looking forward to that. I told them about the series, and they're into F1 like I am. As we are back to a good start, Trem's about 0.5 of a second ahead, leading into turn 1. A little bit of curb there off turn 1. I went the completely wrong direction off the start. Seems like everything is doing okay out of sector 1. Williams kind of caught up behind the AlphaTauri, trying to make a move. I don't know if he was trying to make a move or trying to find an open space so he didn't hit him. A little bit of blockage on those brakes there. Get the track layout up. Trems is already about 1.2 seconds ahead. In this rainy weather, he definitely leaned towards a rain setup. I just hope that setup will help him out during the main event in the dry weather. And he does set a purple sector 2 as he has a strong lead. But Joe, close caution in sector 3 in the backfield. Bon Toby is out. No, he's not out. He spun out. I think he spun out. I don't know if there was contact there. I don't see any damage on his vehicle that I know of. He might have body damage. As we see some more movement upfield. Aston Martin of Peril still trying to make a move here on the AlphaTauri. But Joe up into P2 now. Still about 2.2 seconds behind the leader Trems in the AlphaTauri. Still gaining a lead. Luke Trems be where he wants to be, comfortably in the lead right now. As there's not really much else going on. Peril's still trying to make a move on off Red. He makes a move on the inside. Red is making it pretty rough. Moved on the outside, gave Peril a chance. Peril lost that chance. He's dropped back into P6 behind Red. As we're coming to our other DRS zone here in Sector 2. He misses his braking zone, and a little bit of lockup wheel spin from the Williams and Peril in the Aston Martin. Caution in Sector 3. The start of Sector 3 here, I think it's just because people were spinning out. A little bit of contact from the Aston Martin, knocking out Scotty. He's coming back onto the track. I caught that on board with the Red Bull of Joseph. Scotty is not going to be happy about that incident. As he, I don't know if he has damage or not. He's still going. There's no sense in going to the pits now. It's lap 8 of 11 here on the sprint, and they have a lot to recover from during the main event. So, a lot more spacing here as Ka close behind the Red Bull of Joseph Grima. closest we have between all the other drivers. Scotty now 5.2 seconds back. He might have some body damage from that contact. I didn't get to see it on the onboard. There wasn't much to view from that. It's Keza in the Ferrari in P9, up one position from the start. We're gonna go ahead and swap over those two are tires. And Sam making our pit stops. On newer sets of intermediates. Gonna leave it interval for now. As Trems with a long, comfortable lead here. Joe in P2 for McLaren. Louis in P5 for McLaren. And Scotty, the remaining Mercedes here in the sprint race, back down into P13. We do not want another incident like week 1 from Scotty. But he was able to save it. He was able to stay away from the wall. As we see a little blue dot getting close to the gray dot of AlphaTauri Office Red. Still about 5/10 out. But Kuh is still trying to close in on Peril. And trying to see where he can find an opening. Try to fake him out here. That inside line as best as you can. Want to be careful of track limits though as we're coming through into the late braking zone where a lot of people are hitting their braking zones. A little bit of wheel spin, lost control there. The back end of the Alfa Romeo of Kuh tries to make a move. He's not on the throttle too much. You're gonna spin out. Trems with the new fastest lap of 1:24.4, 4.9 seconds ahead of Joe. As Kuh almost tries to make a move on the inside, but he's right up in the gearbox of Peril. As there's a lot of movement back behind him. Keza, I don't know what happened. He had a little bit of wheel spin, it looked like. As he is on the inside of the Red Bull here in turn 1. And I believe Bon Toby spun off track. He lost traction off track. And then back to the front. Joe still defending. About just less than a second against Office Red, and Vertex still trying to close in on him as we're about a lap and a half left to go. Kuh making a move on the inside of Peril. Peril giving him that position. Try to get him back here in a couple turns. That's what I'm thinking he's doing. At how far wide he went out of the corner. A little bit of sparks flying. I'm not sure if that was latency or if that was wheel spin. But Vertex making a move on Office Red on the inside. On the outside, I believe. Yeah, Vertex was on the inside. Office, I was looking at the wrong person. A lot of movement here. As Sam makes a move on Keza. And then the Red Bull of Atsu right behind Keza. Right in his gearbox, trying to make a move on the inside. No, he will not. He will give him that space. As we are now on the final lap. Seems like we're a lot, everyone's pretty spaced out except for the backfield here. Keza trying to defend as Atsu tries to make a move on the inside. That's a good defensive play from Keza. I don't know if that was going to be permitted in the regulations. I don't know. I looked it over on week 1, but I'll have to look again. Because they are allowed a certain amount of time and a certain amount of distance to defend their position or commit. As Keza takes the position from Atsu, but Atsu is still right there behind him. And we see Vertex still about 5/10 of a second behind Joe. McLaren's going to be getting some decent points from our sprint race here as we're on the final lap. And Venturi Scotty just trying to ride it into the last lap of that checkered flag. Saying he made it through last race, getting the points. Not really worried about the sprint race here. We still have another full race to go on a dry compound tires that they will be more comfortable on. Trems J in the lead, finishing out P1 about 6.5 seconds ahead of Joe in the McLaren in P2. And then close behind is Vertex Gaming in the Williams. No penalties for the sprint race, but our stewards are going to have something else to say during the sprint later on in the week. As Keza rounding out the top 10. Toby trying to make a move on the inside, but not enough time. As that rounds out our sprint race. As we're on board with Toby finishing in P12. And driver of the day for the sprint goes to Joseph Greenman in the Red Bull. I know we were on board with him during a couple of his incidences. I believe it was the one with Scotty that we saw on his onboard. We'll go ahead and take a screenshot of that, just in case our lobby admins need it. Ignore any issues. See if we have any on our collision. Peril and Louis, Keza and Jamie. Terminal damage from Kent and Jamie from that incident. And track limits to Red and Keza. And now we're on to the main event. Looking forward to this. As there's not much they can do to their setups here. I'm going to go ahead and go pull up our track layout on our second monitor while we are waiting. I didn't have that. And there are some channels in the Invictus Discord that I cannot access on the mobile version of Discord. I don't know why that is, but we will have to deal with it. Pull that up. Just enough room to see the stream chat. And get right back into it. If I'm correct, the I'm gonna enlarge my photo a little bit, so we're gonna pause again. The main straight is Catalunya out of turn 14. Turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. Repsol, I believe, is turn 4. TV3 for turn 7 and 8. The uphill chicane there. And then I can't see it that far away. It's trying to have the chat. Okay, one more. Trying to move stuff around without having to pause in and out. But La C-A-I-X-A. I do not know how to pronounce that. And then I believe turn 3 is Eurocar. I could be wrong. I'm butchering it. I'm American. I always butcher things from different countries. I'm sorry. We'll have to wait and see. As still waiting for people to ready up, I believe. I was really looking forward to watching Rambo use my wild card out of the McLaren and Mercedes fight, as we are onto our 5 red lights. AlphaTauri off to a good start, starting with the stops. Joe also onto a good start. Office Red making a position against Vertex as we're coming into turn 1. Williams going wide on the curves. See a little bit of contact from the AlphaTauri. Toby dropping a few positions here as he takes the escape route. I don't know if there was a little bit of contact or if that was intentional, but I think that was Ka on the escape route while we were on board with Toby. Vertex making a position up against Louis. Caution in sector 2 here. Mercedes of Scotty, I believe, spinning out. losing traction. So I don't know what he's doing here. Getting back on track, and there he is. So luckily that was not a full safety car or a virtual safety car as the race continues. Tram's still sitting in P1, 0.34, 0.4 seconds ahead of Joe. Joe's still trying to stay close. We won't have DRS till lap 3 in Sector 2. We won't get DRS till Sector 2 in lap 3 as Jamie takes up a position against Atsu as they're coming around the last few corners out of Catalunya onto the main straight. Trams with the fastest lap, 1:18.1. We'll see if that time improves. Pearl losing a position against Louis here on the main straight. And Joe still trying to put pressure on Trems as he's still in the lead. And close fight between Jamie and Atsu. They're about 2/10 away from each other. Trying to see where else we have. Then Aston Martin making a move on the inside of Venturi Sam. Can he hold that line? He does. Taking a position up. Moving up to P8. Good fight. Both Aston Martins, P7, P8, and the McLarens are P2 and P6 at this time. Keza making a position against Atsu. I don't know what's going on with Atsu. As Trems and Joe are pulling away off spread 1.8 seconds now. Now up towards 1.9 seconds as Jamie tries to make another position on his teammates on the inside. Gotta be careful not to make any contact, and there is! Contact from Jamie. I don't know if Peril had some contact on him. Trying to look at him. See if he does have any damage on his vehicle. I don't know if there is. I don't know who had contact. Keza trying to make a move on the Alpine of Sam. And he does. Moving on the outside as Vertex is fighting Joseph for a position here. He's still quite behind him. Jamie and the Aston Martin against... I don't know who it was that he was in contact with. I really hope it wasn't his teammate, because they were running pretty good in 7 and 8. Both Alfa Romeos in P11 and P12 cut in the lead. It's about 5/10 away from Toby. So they're sitting comfortably here on lap 3 as people are going to start hitting their DRS. The Williams of Vertex getting DRS. And doesn't really help out as Jamie, I believe, spins out. He may have retired the car. No, he spun out. Coming out of the bend. They're in the halfway point of Sector 2 here. Trem still sitting about 3/10. Joe has DRS on him. He's going to hold the defensive line. He doesn't commit to the inside. He moves to the outside to get that ideal racing line. There's not really any other close battles going on, but there is a 2.7 gap between Red and Joe. So Joe and Trems, the battle between Joe and Trems for this race so far, but we have a lot to go. See what our pit stop strategies will ensue of. As we're seeing Keza about 7/10 behind Louis. Seeing if he can make up some ground, but they will be making up a little bit of ground coming in to the DRS zone here in Sector 2. Joe still close behind Trems. This uphill section loses a little bit of traction. And Jamie retiring the car. I don't know if he spun out again or hit a wall or something, but his AI is moving along the track. So I don't know if that is a intentional retirement. And it looks like Louis is out of this session. I don't know what happened with Louis. He was running pretty good as Joe takes the lead. I don't know what's going on here. To look in the room and see what's going on. I'll have to get some information from Louis and Jamie, see what happened with them. We are on board with Joe, now in the lead of McLaren, off a good start of the season, and then a decent drive last week. As Trams looks to make another comeback with the RS, he's not going to make up enough ground. If he can hit that braking point pretty well, he might be able to on the main straight. Our Ferrari driver Keza, he was about 1/10 behind Joseph on the inside. He takes that line very well, utilizing track limits on these medium tires. But his only advantage is a little bit better movement around those corners. But he still has a little bit slower pace on those mediums, depending on what those other drivers can do with Sauce. Makes a move on the inside with DRS. Trem's retaking position against Joe, back up in the G1. Grima, our driver of the day for the sprint, still trying to fight against Keza. Keza moving up to P5 now, as Joe still looks to try to fight for P1. We're going to leave our front runners for a little bit, see what kind of other fights we have going on. Sam is trying to make a move on Grima. He might be able to here in Sector 2 if he can get this corner really well out of turn 9. We're coming through 10, 11, and 12 now, this uphill section. See if he can make up some ground. In this fast-paced downhill section coming into Catalonia. Once again, I love these scenic shots. So it seems to me that Jamie may have retired on track. He wants to see tires. I'm going to pause it for a second, Mark. Okay, you're not actually driving. Alright, tire compound. Alright. Thank you for reminding me that, Mark. I don't know how long ago you said that, but thank you. Not really any decent fights right now, except for Ka trying to make a move on Atsu. Coming out of turn 8. He did have a little bit of a spin earlier. Looks like Joe is still trying to make a move on Trems. He might be able to make a move with DRS on the main straight coming out of Catalunya. You can see their dots on the bottom right. He's still about 0.4 seconds behind him. So we are still on board with Ka, trying to make up some ground against a Red Bull of Atsu. Both Red Bulls now in P7, P8, where the Aston Martins were earlier before they made contact. And Ka is going to make a move on the inside. He has the inside. There's a tire by tire. Red Bull has to back out. And there's a spin from Ka. There's a spin. He had no control. And then contact from Atsu. I don't know if that incident was avoidable or not. But there was a little bit... I would say there was a little bit too much power going down from Ka on turn 1. Turn 1, 2, and 3. Put too much power down. You will spin out. Joe is waiting. Let Trams back to the next lap. I'll have to wait and see. Leapfrogging until one of them gives out and goes into the pits first, while the other one can really push forward that defending against that undercut. We're going to go ahead and swap out to another driver here. Bon Toby about 4/10 behind Peril, and Peril following Kent about 5/10 now, as we're coming through Catalonia now, turn 14. No pits yet. Not quite yet for these softs. We might see these softs go till maybe lap 11, maybe 12 if we're lucky. I know I raced on my series in career mode. I went in on lap 11, so we might see some people going on lap 11. Possibly swap into the hards. Atsu coming into the pits. We'll check on him here in a second as Toby is about 2/10 behind Peril, making a move on the inside. Not enough to hold that position. He still has the grounds to make a move though. Within sector 2, we might get enough DRS, and if he can hit his braking point correct into turn 10, he might be able to make a move on Peril on the main straight on the next lap if he is not coming in for a pit. We'll see if either of the leaders will be coming into the pits. And no, they will not. They're continuing on. Vertex about 6/10 behind Toby. A little bit of back and forth from Peril. I don't know if that was disconnection or something like that, but Toby makes a move easily on the inside with DRS. Scotty Kent Natsu might be the man to watch. I know he was doing very well last race. I still don't remember if he raced. It's been a long week. I just remember him from week 1. Kyle missed the braking point and Atsu crashed into him. Okay, Atsu going from the softs to the hards. Sitting in P13 right now. Has about 1.2, 1.3 seconds behind Red. See if he can make up some decent ground before anybody goes into the pits. Is Atsu's 34 seconds behind. He's about maybe half a sector, if not a little bit more ahead of the leaders. See if either of them will be coming in. No, they're both staying out. They're going in for the long run on these soft tires. And the closest fight we have is Peril, or Toby to Kent. He's going to be able to make a move on the main straight. And I don't know if Peril will be able to make a comeback move. Just sinking up behind him and make a move. As Toby takes up P7 from Kent as he moves into turn 1. Now's about the time that we start seeing everybody spread out. And this is where the pit strategies come in handy. If you play your pit strategy right, you may be stuck in the middle of the pack, or you might actually be fighting for a position. So we'll have to wait and see. Joe holding the lead currently, 5/10, almost 6/10 ahead of Trems. AlphaTauri's are holding strong, P2 and P3 from both of them. See if they can hold that till the end of the race. We're still waiting for a response from Louis. See what happened with him. And Atsu going the long run. He might be able to make towards the end of the race. Probably won't be able to necessarily make it to the end. Maybe. It's really pushing it for those compounds. Because it is in the DRS. He is about 1/10 seconds. Caution in sector 3. I believe that was a spin from Ka. Looks like it. He was ghosted there for a second. Scotty going into the pit. We'll have to see what kind of compound tires he's going for. Scotty coming out of the pits with medium compound tires. Gonna run possibly a double medium. I don't think you can stretch out those mediums to a 20 lap stint, but we'll have to wait and see. As Toby, Kent, and Peril are all about 5/10 away from each other. What kind of gap closes up here in sector 2? Trem's now 0.6 behind Joe. Let's see if either of them comes into the pits, and I believe they're still fighting for the lead. Running 12 laps on softs now. We wait for Kent to see if we can. Joseph Freeman, the Red Bull, now in the pits. Have to wait and see what he's going in for. As Joe and Trems are inching ever so closer to Atsu We might actually see him get lapped during this race, but we'll have to wait and see. Von Toby losing position against Peril. Peril had the inside lane. Toby thinking about making a move on the inside lane, but he second-guessed himself and moved out of it. He didn't want to cause any incidents. As we can see Keza close behind. Joe losing position against Trams. Caution in sector 2. I don't know if that was from Keza. Keza up in P3, interrupting the AlphaTauri P2, P3. As he seems like he's making a lot of ground. Peril, 3-second time penalty, I believe, for track limits. They're in sector 2, probably his braking zone or beforehand. As we get an update from Louis. Says he has a lag spike mid-corner with Jamie, disconnecting and had a rough connection anyway. Screen froze mid-corner, and when it stopped lagging, I was in the wall. So that is an uncontrollable incident. It can be very upsetting if his actions interrupted somebody else's performance, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't recall the situation necessarily. But Sam now in the pits on a new set of mediums. Grima also on mediums. I didn't catch that earlier. And Peril, Red, Joe, and Trems all on the soft tires. Everybody else on mediums. And then Atsu in P13 on the hard compound tires. He's coming through sector 3 right now. Start his lap 14. We've seen a lot of good position changes here throughout the race, but we'll have to wait and see what our other pit stops can do. If I can cycle through the menu correctly. And then we're still waiting for majority of these drivers to make their pit stops. And Kent is in provision for driver of the day with P4 being 10 position changes. So we might see that. We'll have to wait. Back to our compound tires. Keza on a new set of hard compound tires. He's going to be able to run those hard compound tires to the end of the race. See if he has enough pace to keep it up to a decent position. We're on board with Kent here. 3.8 seconds, but he is defending against Peril, who does have that 3-second out of bounds penalty that will be added on. I do not believe he can serve that in the pits. As we'll have to wait and see if anybody's going to risk a 15th lap on these soft compound tires. And I believe Kent will be coming in too. He might be able to push the medium tires out, as well as Ka is on 14 laps in the medium. We'll have to wait and see as Trems staying out for another lap on the softs. Joe coming in. Joe coming in for a possible undercut on Trems. Trems has to push really hard. Has to make sure that he does not push hard enough. There's a spin in sector 3. I'm trying to find who it is. Trying to scroll through here, and I believe it was Vertex. I don't know if he spun out, lost control. Probably that uphill section that I was talking about earlier. We have a lot of people coming in. Keza coming. No, he's not in the pits. He already made one. Sam making a fastest lap. 115.2 as he moves up to P6. And our field is very widespread. Trams on the soft compound tires coming through sector 2. See if he has enough ground to cover against Kent to be able to come out at least for a fighting position here. Because Joe is sitting back in P4. See if the AlphaTauris can also make a comeback on their. They were doing really good. They were up in P2 and P3, and see if they can regain that confidence. Get back up there on the grid slot. We see Trems coming into the pits. I haven't seen any penalties for speeding in the pit lane yet compared to last week. We have Kent coming through the main straight. He will be passing Trems. Trems will be losing P1. He might be able to come back out in P3, or he could be fighting for position against Joe for P4. Or P3 to P4. You see Red taking a position against Grima with that DRS. Trends losing position against Joe. Joe having that better momentum as Trends was coming out of the pits. And as Trends is trying to regain his momentum on those mediums, Keza is closing in as best as he can on those hard compound tires. 2 laps in on those hard compound tires. As that Atsu still holding strong. Trying not to keep himself from being lapped. He's sitting there in P13. 10 seconds back from Vertex. You see the Aston Martin kind of closing in on Cub, but I don't know how much more we'll be able to see here, as a lot of our time frames are up towards a second apart. But unless we see an incident, we'll have to wait and see what kind of positions we can do, as we have Atsu spinning out in Sector 1, Turn 4, at the end of Turn 4. As Kent and Toby are fighting for position. Toby's trying to catch up. Joe making a better time, 1:15.173. Ricky, I almost said no. I always think you're racing in Tier 3. Yeah, that's not good. See if Peril can make up some decent time here, as he is 6.6 seconds behind Joseph, and he has that 3-second penalty that'll knock him down to currently 11. Just waiting to see if we can have any significant moves. The closest person we have to someone is Toby in P2 in the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeos were sitting back towards P10, P11 now. Toby with a pit stop strategy up into P2. Kent and Toby, I believe they're the only ones who have not pit yet. And then Ka. Ka is also another person who's not pit yet. So we still have 3 people on those mediums. Probably going from a medium to a soft. Kent takes the position from Toby into turn 1. We see Scotty in the Mercedes trying to close in on Ka with DRS. He does have a slower tire though. He does make that position up though. Ka letting him through. I don't know if he probably didn't want to fight for that position. Have some unnecessary wear and tear on his tires. He just lets him through knowing he had a better pace. So we're on board again with Trems. Still about 5/10 behind Joe. Joe is sitting in P3. And then Toby also about 5/10 behind Kent. We may see Toby make a move on the main straight here as he's 5/10 behind him. As Toby making his position, he's going in for his pit stop. Kent staying out. See if Cuss stays out as well, or if he's going to be smart and come in. Because he's coming through the start of Sector 3 behind Scotty. Toby now dropping back down to P7, swapping over to a set of softs. See if that'll work out in the long run, running out those softs. Because we did see some of those soft tire runners up to it was like 17 laps, 16, 17 laps. I don't remember. I'm tired. All right, Toby on the soft set of tires. Let's see if we can make up some ground. He's got about 13, 14 laps to make up some ground on Peril with a time penalty. With that time penalty, now he will, regardless of that time penalty, he will make that position up. Or he will make that position up at this point with that time penalty. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Trems closing in on Kent and Joe closing in on Trems. Trems 2/10 now, closing in on Kent. Kent goes into the pits. Trems takes the lead, back in the lead. I don't know how many laps ago he wasn't in the lead, but our pole sitter from the start of the race is back in the lead. About 12 laps to go, 13, 12 laps to go. Joe close behind within a second. We have Kent still coming into the pits. Grima taking that easy position. And then Toby still trying to make up that ground on Peril. As we see Peril losing position, I believe. And then Vertex getting a boundary penalty for track limits. I believe that was inside or outside of turn 1 or 2. Vertex and Peril with those time penalties. I do believe so, but we'll have to wait and see. He was sitting comfortably in the lead during the sprint race, and with that well of control in the rain, we can see how he was defending and leapfrogging with Joe. I'll just have to wait till the last moment towards his last stint of laps. See if we can make a move and pull a card that is yet to show with AlphaTauri this week. We have the Alfa Romeo Apparel closing in on Toby, seems like. Toby has a lot of ground to make up on Joseph. Toby with the fastest lap of 1:13.8. He's probably going for that extra point. But he is not the only one on soft compound tires. Venturi Kent is on soft compound tires as well, as his teammate Scotty is up in P10, about 6/10 behind, 6/10 ahead of him. So they're gonna if they're gonna want to get some more points, they're gonna have to work together, try to leapfrog each other to catch up to Vertex. I'll have to wait and see, as Trems is close behind. He's sitting comfortably behind him, just letting him know, hey, I'm still here. I'm just waiting for my time to pounce. Let you make some mistakes and use up that tire wear on your medium tires. But Joe does have, Trems does have 1 lap on Joe for those medium tires. We'll have to wait and see. Because we have Toby less than 5/10 behind Joseph, trying to make a move here. Sector 3 might be able to make one in the main straight. And then Peril getting another 3-second time penalty for track limit. As we see Toby making that move. I always have to cycle through this, trying to get it figured out. Yep, 6 seconds for track limits for Peril. Caution in sector 2. It's a spin from Vertex. I think, no, I'm wrong person. If I can look here. I don't know who it was. It was Sam. Spun out. I'm gonna have to get a hold of him. See what happened. I was trying to go through my menu here. As another safety car, that's gonna change everything around. So we're gonna go ahead and. I wish I could show it. There we go. People are going into the pits, most likely for the soft compound tires. We'll go ahead and reach out to Sam, see what happened. All right, we have Joe on a new set of softs. Trems, Keza, Red, Toby, Kent staying out on his 3 laps of softs. Toby swapping over to a new set of softs. Looks like everybody's going to try to go for softs for a last stint. And then Atsu, I don't know if he will be coming in. He better be coming in. He's going to be coming in for those softs as well. Looks like all of our remaining drivers are going to be on softs. Kent stayed out on a 3-lap used set of softs. And we might see the safety car go in lap 27. Start of lap 27. All right, so sector 2, Sam says that he picked up some marbles off of his race. He was off the racing line coming through sector 2 here where they're at now. And the back end spun out. He was running some pretty harsh worn tires, but that's part of it. You lose control over time. I have to go ahead and take a quick look here at our drivers. And everybody will seem to be recharged by the time the safety car comes in and ready to go for a fight to the finish. I'm going to go ahead and go for some scenic shots here. I'd say a nice scenic shot of the back end of the Red Bull, eh? Safety car is out for another lap. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the standings while we're on safety car. If I can get those quick enough. All right, and as a reminder, Joe currently holds the lead and tied against Kent. Joe holding the lead. Kent is way back there. He's 4. But he is on a used set of softs, so we might have better grip off of the start. Go ahead and hide that as Atsu still trying to catch up to the grid. Scotty sitting in P4 in the constructors, and he is back in P10, so we'll have to wait and see. So as of right now for the championship, current positions, Joe would be in the lead, not only for drivers, but he would be helping McLaren maintain that lead in the Constructors' Championship. We're waiting to see if that safety car will come in. It doesn't look like they will be coming in this lap. So the start of lap 26 is when we'll be seeing the safety car come in, because we do have Atsu caught up to the grid. I'm going to go ahead and move these one bit. That way I can see this chat. After Kez's incident from week 1, we'll have to see if he can recover. And to zoom in on these standings so I can actually see it, as well as you guys in the chat. Hello, Owen. I want to see the points. All right. Lap 26:33. If you guys are joining us late or watching the video late, skipping forward, welcome to the Invictus Racing League. My name is Xerox. I am your commentator for today. JP9 is unfortunately not here because he had some family matters to tend to this evening. For those of you who are across the pond, it is past 1 p.m. for me over here in the USA. And before we come back to a restart, I just want to let you guys know, for racing leagues like this, go to gridandfighter.com, find one that suits your needs. And if you're not into the online racing, you can always go to single player with our other partner of Venturi Studios, your one-stop shop to any My Team, career mode, helmet packages, team replacements, and so on and so forth. One-stop shop. I go to them for commissions, and they do a great job. Joe, waiting for a late start. Mercedes and Ferrari, side by side almost. We're going to be waiting for Joe to take off that start as we're coming around turn 13 to the bottom of the hill, turn 14. And Joe is off to a decent start, gaining a bit of ground on Trems. That's what he wanted, as everybody is now on a soft set of tires. People in the chat saying Keza is the person to watch for this last stint of the race in the Ferrari. Makes the position against Atsu. Vertex sitting in the back in P12 with that time penalty, and then Peril in P8 with that time penalty. So we won't get DRS till lap 29. AlphaTauri of red, almost getting cut off on Kent. I think it's just the racing line here. See if Red can get a good exit out of sector, through sector 2. Hitting the braking point. I believe Vertex is back in sector, the beginning of sector 2. Spinning out, losing control. As Scotty holds off the back of the pack from P8 to P11. Coming on board, we're going to swap over to Keza. He's about 3/10 behind Trems, trying to make a statement as they're fighting for a podium position here at this point. Trems on the inside, holding against Joe. He holds side by side with him through turn 2. He has to give way. Vertex pulling a caution, yellow flag there in sector 3. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably... But our fight is up here against Joe and Trems and Keza. Keza's right there. He had to hold back a little bit. Kent is right behind Keza. That can go the right way. And then we see Red trying to make a move on Kent as he's trying to get in the middle of a fight. So he's trying to slip by him while he's focusing on Keza. Swap on board here as we're coming through sector 2. A little bit of curve, losing momentum there. But if he can hit his braking point pretty well, which he does, but the Mercedes and the Ferrari in front of him are still running quite equally here. As we see Von Toby about 7/10 behind. They're coming out of sector 3. Start at 29. With DRS enabled now, they won't be getting that till sector 2. Keza now P3 with 3/10 back. Lost a little bit of ground there. And a lot of breathing room for Kent to try to make a move. I can't see your... Ricky, I can't see your message because I have the instructor standing covering it. Let me look on my phone. We have Cud trying to make a move on Scotty. He's about 4/10 back. But Red still trying to make a move on Kent, putting a lot of pressure on Kent. We see a lot of ride height. Pretty low for Red. I don't know if that's just a visual thing. Whenever you say Joe, I keep hearing Jill. It's the American in me. Red still trying to make a move. He thought about it, but he backed off. He will have the DRS though, so Red will be taking a position from Kent. More than likely. Kent still has the DRS, so he does have the outside. He has to hold the outside line. Red holding up a little bit too much curb. Has to give way. Peril in the pits. I don't know if he had damage or not. We're going to take a quick look. Didn't get to see it. As Trems loses position against Joe. Joe had the inside. The Ferrari of Keza almost making the same move. Trems almost lost 2 positions there, but he does hold. And in turn, Keza trying to move out of the way. A 3-second penalty for track limit. our fourth track limit penalty today. 2 go into peril. And Vertex and Keza each have 1. We're now almost done with lap 30. Lap 31 sure to come. There was a spin. I believe Atsu is out in the Red Bull. And I see Ka going slow. I don't know if there was contact. I don't see any damage on Ka. May have been an uncontrollable wheel spin. We'll have to make sure to get info from Atsu and see what we can do. As we see Ka coming into the pit, so he does look like he has damage. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Our first pit lane speeding incident here. As he swaps over to a new set of softs. No front wing change. And that safety car pulled out. I don't know if that was from the incident between Ka and Atsu. And as we're on a safety car, it's going to be a green-white checkered, as they say in the United States. As we wait for a response from Atsu in the driver's room. And once again, AlphaTauri trying to make a statement and get some more points because they are sitting P3 in the Constructors' Championship. Trams getting P2 would be a great hit. And we have a retirement from Vertex as well. And the safety car is in this lap, so it will be a green-white checkered. So green lap to start lap 32. Lap 33 is a white, and then last time around is a checkered flag. So we have a lot on the line for Joe, who's sitting in P1 for the driver standings against Kent. Kent is back in P4. So if Trems and Keza can get right in the middle of this, that'll interrupt his points. Because Trems is currently sitting at 11 points now. I don't necessarily remember how many points he would get for his current position, but they're waiting to do that. See if they can make their move. As Joe is off to a good start. Trems still close behind. Not really giving up on that. He's trying to make a move on the inside. See if he has the bug for giving up the position before turn 1. We do have a response from Atsu. We'll get to that in a second as Kent back into P3. Trems and Joe still fighting for that position up into P1 as Toby and Red are still neck and neck. Toby trying to tail off the back end of Red. As 2 laps to go. We won't get DRS till the final lap, I believe. A little bit of curve from Red, trying to get as straight line as possible. Coming into Sector 2. He has the momentum on Keza. Keza's moving over to the right side. He's going to try to hold on the inside. Gives him the space. Try not to come into contact. Going a little bit wide from Keza. There may have been contact. There is contact between Grima and Red. Red trying to save himself. As Grima comes in. Contact. I don't know. And there's a spin from Red in Sector 3. It's going to be a caution, but it's not going to be a full safety car because we are lap 32 of 33. Now on to lap 33. Very unfortunate for Red there. As well as Toby. And that information from Atsu is that Ka spun. I don't remember where exactly. I believe it's Sector 3. And didn't turn into ghost mode. As Joe and Trems are side by side. Peril with a new fastest lap at 1:13.7. Joe now in the lead on the final lap. Can he hold it? They do have another DRS zone in Sector 2. Kent sitting in P3 still. Keza close behind. But he's not close enough. He's about 1.4 seconds off. Kent is about 0.5 behind Trems. Can you see if he can hold that position or get into P2 for Mercedes with Scotty up back in P8? We're waiting to see here as we're coming through Sector 3. Joe about 5/10 ahead. And he's holding a very good line. It looks like Joe is going to be our winner for today here in Spain. Trems 8/10 back behind him for P2 and Kent P3. And then Joseph Grima with a penalty takes a P4. Keza back down to P5. Ka P6. Red P7. Scotty P8. Peril P9. They're yet to finish though. See if Peril gets knocked down. Peril finishes P9 and then Toby close behind. See if that penalty adds on. Peril finishes P10. Driver of the day going to Kent with the most positions gained. As we're going to go ahead and take some screenshots. Trim is doing an outstanding job saving the car there at the end. And we have our podium here. McLaren holding on to their lead. Mercedes dropping one position here. Losing out a few points. I don't know how much that'll change with the standings with AlphaTauri in P3. So we'll have to wait and see if AlphaTauri bumps up to P2 for their constructors. All right, Joe in the McLaren P1, Trems P2, and Joseph Grima in the Red Bull P3. A lot of points going to these guys for this weekend with that sprint race. Trems getting 8 points from the sprint, and then another 10 points. That's going to be the game for you. Or the Invictus Racing League does their points a different way. Go ahead and take a quick look at our incidents. A lot of track limits warnings, and then we have our time penalty. Oh, with that 5-second time penalty in the pit lane, dropping them back down to P10, I believe it was. Yes, a very eventful race to start out the week for Tier 3, and we will have to see what we can do with our top 3, see if we can get them in a voice chat. And do our post-race interview. Whether that would be in Discord or in the game chat. And I do not know how to, I don't know my button for game chat. Controls, please. I don't know my controls. Alright, what is the voice chat for keyboard? I'm gonna go look through here again and see if I can find it. Push to talk F. Hello, hello. I don't know if they can hear me. Go back in there and see if we have it turned on. Voice chat is audio settings. have my voice chat on. All right. All right. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Maybe. Can you hear me now? This is why I don't like game chat. I can never figure it out. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get this figured out for our post-race interview. Go ahead and swap back over to our title screen. It was a very eventful race. Let's see if we can get people into a voice chat. Trying to go through these channels and figure out stuff. Trims, Joe, and communicating with Joe right now. Still trying to get everything figured out, so I do apologize. Let me turn my game volume down. I just turned it down too. But it is loud for me. I believe it was There was a Mercedes outfit on the podium, so I believe it was Kent, because I know Scotty was pretty far back. Waiting for one more. And Kent is already gone. Already downstairs. So you can use your phone. I always get lost in the channels in the IRL Discord. All right, so if Kent isn't going to show up, waiting for confirmation that if he is or not. And I'm thinking that's a no. All right, so we will wait and see if Kent comes in. And we're going to go ahead and move on to Trems. You finished in P2 after what seemed to be a great race. Did you have enough fuel after the stage cars? Be able to take it easy and make sure you have enough? That's one thing I noticed in the back of my mind was that during the sprint race in the rain, you were pushing as hard as you could with that gap. You had about like 2-3 seconds even more. And then when it comes to the real race, you were kind of leapfrogging with Joe. Yeah, I believe that that first safety car was kind of expected, especially with Tier 3, but kind of surprising because we didn't really have that much similar situation last week. But this week, I feel like you came prepared. Alpha Tauri was sitting in P3 in the standings. We pulled them up here, and you managed to get a P2 finish. I don't know how many points that is off the top of my head, but McLaren and Mercedes are tied for first in the constructors. And then you're sitting at P7 in the driver standings at 11 points. So that'll bump you up a few spots there. Is there any point in the first half of the race that you felt like you had it in the bag, or you had it like very, very struggle-ish? Yeah, you always have to watch out for your fuel levels. The one thing I did notice is that a lot of people were spinning out in places that I wasn't expecting, especially with my experience on the track, is that turns 1, 2, and 3, I spun out a lot. How much did you have to counter steer or let off the gas there in sector 1? That's where we were seeing a lot of the sliding and lockups, is the turn 10 up to the uphill section out of the DRS straight. But towards the end of the race there, you were having to hold on for dear life there, trying to save your car. It was a great effort, and from what I remember, it's a very good improvement compared to last week in Saudi Arabia. It feels a lot different when you're not boxed in by walls on both sides, right? And hopefully JP9 will be here next week to be able to talk about this situation a little bit as we recap it. I didn't get to recap last week that much. I didn't have the information up. But we're looking forward to some good momentum from AlphaTauri. And Red was putting up a good fight too. You guys were up in P2, P3 for a minute there, and then Red kind of backed off. But great performance from you guys together, and then great finish, P2 for you, and a lot of much needed points for AlphaTauri. These guys are in P3, so hopefully you guys are interrupting the fight between McLaren and Mercedes in the constructors. That is right, and I'm looking forward to next week because it's a short week for me, so I'll be plenty ready for the next race. And then seeing that the next race is Texas, I'm going to be very skeptical about that because I hate the S's. But that'll come to a point in the future. But thank you again for being able to sit down and talk compared to Kent, who just up and at it. I'm pretty sure he had some other busy stuff to do. I'll probably reach out to him later and see how he felt about the race. I know he was trying to work together with his teammate Scotty, but we'll have to wait and see what they can do and see if they can bring back the fight for next week. No problem. We'll see you guys. We'll see you next week. See how your performance compares to this week. All right, next up we have our pole position winner. He had a pretty okay qualifying. He had a pretty good sprint. But yeah, P1 finish. It is a very different outcome compared to week 2. He was. I said it over the commentary. I felt like he had preferred over a wet setup, and then he said that about his fuel load, so I wasn't sure if it was a fuel load thing or a setup until he said that. But McLaren's still coming back. You guys go ahead. What was so like I said about you guys coasting and then leapfrogging, I thought you guys were just playing the waiting game and leapfrogging. What was going on through your mind when you guys were leapfrogging? Because earlier in the race, there was a situation where Scotty passed up Kuh, and Kuh was on a faster set of tires, but he did not have the momentum. He's like, I'm not going to fight for the position. It's not worth using the tire wear. And it's better off that you just wait it out and wait for a moment to actually strike where it actually counts. Very unfortunate from Louis. I believe I reached out to him, and I think he said that he spun out. Let me take a look here. Yeah, I noticed that here and there, and I made a comment. I thought it was a little bit of wheel spin left and right, but like you were saying, it is a lot of connection. And I don't know who hosted this race, but it seemed like it was a lot better than last week. Last week we saw a lot more latency issues, and on the game side rather than the stream side. But yeah, so the last stint, the last safety car, when everyone swapped over to softs, what were you thinking? Were you expecting everybody to go to softs, or? Because I don't quite remember. I'm trying to pull the stream up on my phone. Somebody stayed out. Somebody stayed out on a 3 to 4 lap rough set of softs, and it it was Kent. It was Kent who stayed out on the softs, and that actually did pay off as he did finish in P3. But well, so how are you feeling with the fight against McLaren, Mercedes, and then AlphaTauri basically knocking on the door? Yeah, and unfortunate that that Rambo couldn't have stayed in tier 2 or tier 3. He got bumped up to tier 2 just before this race. How do you think that would have added to the carnage of this track? There's a lot of fighting going on for positions. And I'm looking at the comparison compared to all the other drivers. And there's you, there's Scotty, there's Trems. Now he's up there. A lot of these drivers that have been scoring points, they're around the same playing ball field, playing ground. It's just a give or take. And like, especially the performance from Red and Ka, like they didn't perform that. They performed better coming into the series, like week 3, than they did in week 2. Like, then you have the Williams, Ferramoto. He scored some points in week 2, and he did miss tonight. But it's a lot more to look forward to, and see who still has yet to spread their wings. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next week in Coda. That is right, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this week here in Spain with the other tiers, as I don't believe Tier 4 did stream, but we'll have their standings up here in a little bit. But other than that, I wanted to thank you guys so much for coming here on the stream, watching the stream. I wanted to thank Joe for letting me be a commentator, as he is P1 finish 2 times now out of 15 races. Trems P2, and then Kent P3, rounding out our top 3 here in Spain for Tier 3. Make sure you guys show up around the same time tomorrow, about, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. UK time? 8 p.m. UK time, and noon. I'm still trying to learn the time zones over there. It's such a different, like, you're getting ready to go to bed. I'm still awake. I've been awake all night. Been trying to stay awake drinking a Rockstar. But yeah, without further ado, if you guys are in the racing leagues, you guys can find us on I can remember this partner. Sorry for the language. Gridfinder.com. If you guys found us through Gridfinder, thank you very much for joining our league and checking it out. Our league isn't quite yours. You could always go on Gridfinder and find a league that fits your preferences or needs. If you guys aren't looking for league racing or online racing, you guys can always go and check out Venturi Studios, who our other partner is, for your one-stop shop to your single-player career mode when it comes to custom helmets, custom My Team liveries and packages, as well as team takeovers. So that's about it. Like, they got a lot of stuff that's it's hard to go over the list that Venturi Studios has. They have a lot of developers that go through a lot of stuff in the game, and they've been doing it since the last time I remember. They've been doing it since like F1 2019, maybe 2018. But yeah, I'm still trying to get the fine tuning down on our sponsors for Invictus Racing League. Once again, my name is Xerox. I'm your commentator for Tier 3 for the next few weeks, I hope so, up until my schedule changes. And I did want to thank you guys again for coming over to Invictus Racing League and checking out the stream for week 3. See you guys later.